The X1 might be BMW's smallest SUV, but it's not particularly small anymore. This L in the name tells you it's grown. It's 116 millimeters longer in overall length. 108 mm of that added length is at the wheelbase alone. The biggest beneficiary of the length extension, space at the back. Meet the BMW X1 long wheelbase. A long wheelbase X1 isn't a new idea. China has had an extended length X1 for years, and we got it in India last year in the form of the all-electric iX1 LWB. The X1 LWB brings the formula to the ICE X1 range. BMW says the standard wheelbase X1 will continue to sell, though we assume the LWB will be the only X1 down the road. In person, the X1 LWB doesn't look vastly different to the standard wheelbase model. Same peeled back headlamps, same M Sport styling pack, and same edgy taillights. Importantly, the 108 mm longer wheelbase doesn't look unusually long, and so the proportions work. The 18-inch rims are shared with the other X1s, but a more exciting design and/or a larger size would have done much for the look. A chrome surround for the large windows is a small detail distinction to the standard X1 that uses a black effect, while the conventional grille here serves as a distinguishing element to the iX1 that sports a closed-off grille. Now, with those wide opening doors and a really large door aperture, getting into the back of the X1 LWB is very easy, and once you're inside, you will be amazed by the sense of space that you get here. I'm just under 6 feet tall, front seat set to my driving position, and just check out the knee room, the leg room, the foot room that I have. And helping that ambience and that feeling of space is this really large glass roof that lets in a lot of light. It doesn't open, but I don't think that is a cause for concern. You also get nice and large windows, but sadly, for all the focus on the back seat, they don't get adjustable sunshades. Now, like the iX1 LWB, the X1 LWB also benefits from a redone rear seat. So it's got enhanced cushioning. The seat base is 15 millimeters longer, so there's a bit more by way of thigh support. The seating position itself is very good. And if you want a more relaxed setting, you also have the option to recline the backrest by a couple of degrees. The extra legroom also makes the X1 LWB that little bit comfier for a middle passenger who will have more space to keep his or her feet on either side of the high center tunnel. Still, this is a seat best for two. Features-wise, the X1 LWB's rear seat packs in a drop-down center armrest with 2 cup holders. All 3 seats get adjustable headrests. There are rear air conditioning vents, but there's no dedicated zone for the climate control system. There's also a USB Type-C charging port, but a wireless charger at the back would have been a nice touch as well. Shifting focus to the front section of the cabin. The X1 LWB is no different to the standard wheelbase X1 when you are sat up front. It still carries forward that asymmetric dash design, which looks quite interesting and youthful. So you have your AC vents scattered on different parts of the dash, which is very un-BMW, very un-Germanic. You also get the twin screen layout, which we have seen on the newer lot of BMWs. But what adds some flavor to the X1's cabin is this upright wireless phone charging pad, which looks quite unique. There's also this floating center console, which houses a few key buttons such as for the gear selector, volume control, and driving modes. There's also some storage in here, but oddly, the lid opens towards the passenger side. What does lend the X1 LWB's cabin a slightly different look to the standard X1s is the choice of upholstery colors. You do get a brown, but this brown is lighter and not the chocolate brown that you get on the standard wheelbase X1. There's also the option of a white on black color scheme, though I suspect that will be a lot harder to keep clean. The seats themselves look sporty, also hold you really well, but unfortunately the seat massage function has been dropped on the long wheelbase model. There's also no ventilation. Also, since this is an M Sport variant, it gets the M Sport steering wheel, which looks good, but I find the rim a bit too thick. But what is actually disappointing is that there are no paddle shifters. This is a BMW. In terms of quality, key touchpoints look and feel good. There's padded materials on the dash and the textured metal-like effect is nicely done. However, it's not quite got the same attention to detail as pricier BMWs. The USB slots on the dash, for one, aren't backlit, so you'll fumble with wires in the dark. The ambient lighting too isn't as vibrant as, say, in a Mercedes GLA. The 10.25-inch digital instrument cluster does give all the info you need, but the presentation with hexagonal themes isn't appealing even after all these years. The 10.7-inch touchscreen has its highs and lows too. It's crisp and responsive but packs in way too much, including the AC controls. The menus, frankly, can feel overwhelming on the go. The crisp 360-degree camera does get our vote. Interestingly, BMW offers a subscription service to unlock more advanced maps, customizable icons, and more screen themes and modes. Other features include a digital key allowing you to share access with up to 18 friends and family members, while the 12-speaker Harman Kardon sound system is rather nice too. BMW says boot capacity stands at 540 litres and there is plenty of space for large bags. Packaged under the boot floor is a space-saver spare tyre. BMW is launching the X1 LWB in S-Drive 18Li form, which is a complicated way of saying that it's powered by a 1.5-litre 3-cylinder turbo petrol engine. Yes, you heard that right. The engine makes 156 horsepower and 230 Newton meters, and all the power goes to the front wheels only via a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. The engine is E25 compliant, but there's no diesel option for the moment, and buzz is there won't be one in the future either. A fact to note: 156 HP is the upgraded power figure. On the standard wheelbase X1, the engine makes 136 horsepower. Unfortunately, the power bump doesn't magically transform the X1 LWB into something sporty. Now, in ordinary city driving, you really won't have a problem with the performance on hand. But it's just that when you get to open stretches, such as the coastal road that we are on right now, where the speed limit is 80 kph, you will miss that reserve of power that you just expect in a luxury car. Sport mode does make the engine feel a bit more urgent, but it's also in sport mode that the engine can't hide its 3-cylinderness. When it's time to overtake, for instance, and you press down on the accelerator pedal, there is a bit of a delay. Then you hear the engine sort of thrum, and that's not a very BMW sound. Performance is also not very BMW. We managed a 0 to 100 kph time of 9.58 seconds. The humdrum performance also hurts the X1 LWB in other areas. Now, this is a front-wheel drive BMW, but it still does drive like a BMW. There is a crispness to the way it changes direction. You will like the feel at the steering wheel. There is a good sense of connect that you get. But what takes away from the experience is that this handling isn't supported by the engine. So, long story short, this is not the BMW for keen drivers. Then again, the X1 LWB's USP is the rear seat, and there will be buyers who rarely, if ever, take the wheel. If you are not going to be the one driving and will be the one sat at the back, you will like this engine for its refinement. I'm sure you'll have your chauffeur drive in an easygoing manner, and when he or she does that, you will note that engine noise is actually pretty well contained. As for ride comfort, BMW has tweaked the suspension for the X1 LWB, and they've done a pretty good job of things. The suspension works quiet, it feels absorbent, and it's only when you're really paying attention that you'll notice a distant firmness to the setup. Of the other things, the X1 LWB packs in a few ADAS features such as auto emergency braking and lane departure warning and assist. Adaptive cruise control, however, is missed. Prices weren't out at the time of filming, but we expect BMW to keep pricing within the 50 to 55 lakh rupee ex-showroom band, which would make the X1 LWB a very enticing proposition. Rear seat space is the highlight and immediately gives the BMW bragging rights over the Mercedes GLA and Audi Q3. Thing is, the X1 LWB's appeal is almost too tied to the rear seat experience. The drive experience is just so-so. Performance is fine for the daily grind, but the 3-cylinder unit does little to excite. If that's not a deal breaker for you, the BMW X1 LWB is sure worth a long, hard look.